All right, welcome in. It's Monday. Hope everyone had a great weekend. I know these two guys had a good weekend because both of them hit 5% plays yesterday. And like I always say, if you don't bet, you can't lose, right? So Sunday for me yesterday, I love the Phillies. Just could not figure out a way to get down on them without laying like an astronomical price. It ended up being a pass day for me after a 2-0 Saturday. So I can't complain. Felt like I got it back going in the right direction this weekend. But I know you two are both going in the right direction. 5% winners yesterday. Tokyo Brandon, I'll come to you first. How was your weekend?
It's always good to win your 5%, and I'm 4-1 in my 5% plays this month, I think, and I went 3-1 yesterday, including the 5% win. I also had Cleveland plus the 1.5, so that came through because they lost 1-0, so that was nice. So yeah, overall going well. I've won 5% in a row, so feeling good. I have one play out today. It's not a 5% though.
Bryan Leonard, a 5% winner for you.
I heard through the grapevine though that Adam has a 5% play today, so pump that up.
Yes, he does. We'll get. I'm sure we'll get to that plenty on the show. But first, I got to hype Bryan up. Another 5% winner. You have to have a pretty good run on these big plays as well too right now.
Yeah, it was a good weekend. More of the same, 5-2 overall, winning all three of our bigger plays. A couple of fours and a five. We're now at 16-4. That's 80% on our last 24 and 5% plays. Also 53-26 overall. It's just been a great 6 weeks for us, and look for more of it the same today. I too wanted to bet Philadelphia last night, but I didn't want to lay that number. Sometimes you just know that you've got a good play, but we're trained not to bet into bad numbers. And I was the same way. I wanted Philadelphia, but hey, can't complain at all.
Yeah, it's one of the, I in hindsight, I wish I just did kind of like Tokyo Brandon talks about sometimes, make it a -1, knock the juice down. And what ended up happening with that in that Philly game was they just got steamed all day. I'm thinking, there's got to be some Yankee money at some point. There always is, right? Someone always comes in and takes the Yankees at a price. It's rare it happens. Never happened. Phillies just steamed all day long. Well over a $2 favorite by the time that game started, and that was an example of the steam being very much correct. That was a no doubter. The Phillies got it done easily, but I feel like personally, a 2-0 sweep on Saturday. I'm hoping things go my way this week, and that is why I'm taking the week off with the 5%er. Grant's dad, this is great. He said, thanks to our profits of profits. I love that.
That's cool.
That's good. And Grant's dad, I tried to DM you on TikTok. I don't know if you saw it. Get back to me. I was trying to get in touch with you over the weekend. Also, for anyone that doesn't know, Hakeem Profit, that is his real name. His real last name is Profit. That is not a made-up name. People thought like Adam Trigger was a made-up name. No, that's also the name on my birth certificate, but nothing more impressive than Hakeem Profit being his real name. I think you can't ask for a better name.
I've been out with him many times. He's a lot of fun. I just assumed that was his professional name.
No, that's the government name for him.
No better time than now to get a double play. Adam's got a 5%er out today, so if you're going to get a double play, take Adam and Bryan or myself, because all three of us are just winning like crazy, so you can't go wrong. Get a double play. It's 3 days all access, 2 of your favorite 3 cappers.
All right, Bryan Leonard, you're going to kick us off today. The Battle of Ohio. This is your your state right here, your Guardians. They hit the road to take on the Reds. ESPN tonight, Guardians, Reds. How are you seeing this one?
Yeah, this is always a big series for both of these teams. They do take it with pride. They have a trophy that they use, and State of Ohio trophy. So, yeah, Cleveland was very good to me in the last series because I had Tampa Bay in one way or another for just about every one of those games. Ciccone is going against Burns. Burns is a pretty sizable favorite here. He's about a 160 favorite. Total of 8.5 to the under, slightly to the under. And Cleveland, I talked about the backs earlier, and they are in better shape now, even though they were shut out. They've got Quan back. Quan's finally hitting, so they moved him up to the top of the order. They have Ramirez back in the lineup. They have Angel Martinez, who I love. He hasn't started hitting yet, but he's fresh off the IL. And that gives them somewhat of a major league lineup because they've got Quan, Ramirez, Delauder, Rocchio, who's been terrific this year. He's probably been their most valuable hitter. Bazzana, Martinez, and then they got Mazzardo, Bailey, and Halpin. And even Bailey hit a couple home runs in the last few weeks. So they're starting to come around a little bit. In fact, Bailey's ranked 25th over the last 7 days. So that's nice to see. But from a pitching standpoint, they're going Slade Ciccone, who, in my opinion, is clearly the lesser of all their starters. You take a look at Gavin Williams, 12th on the season, Cantillo 71, Bybee 57, Messick 19. Lost yesterday, pitched a terrific game. The speed of Tampa Bay got to him yesterday, and then Ciccone is 122. From a bullpen standpoint, Cleveland hasn't been winning, which means their bullpen guys are in great shape, and they only had to use Holderman yesterday for 4 pitches. So I really love the bullpen situation for Cleveland in this one. Cincinnati is a team that I talked about coming to the point where with the trade deadline coming, that we needed to figure. A lot of these teams need to figure out if they're in or they're out. Well, Cincinnati's played pretty well in the last week. They did well against Seattle. They did well in the last series. So I guess they're not selling at this point. From a hitting standpoint, the top 2 guys in the order, De La Cruz and Stewart, are in the top 100, as well as Nathaniel Lowe. But they've got Chase Burns on the hill. He's ranked over at Fangraphs is the 13th best pitcher on the season, 15th best in the last 2 weeks. Their bullpen is still in pretty good shape, although it's not one of the better bullpens out there. Pagan hasn't pitched the last 2 days. He's their closer. But when I take a look at this game here, if I'm doing anything, I'm probably playing Cleveland, only because I like to play teams off of a shutout. This is an important game for them as well as it is for Cincinnati, because Cleveland's been slumping lately. So you rarely get what I consider an equal team, or maybe even slightly better, at getting plus 150 area coming back. So slightly into Cleveland in this one. Yep, that's it for me.
Tokyo Brandon cooking on the live stream yesterday. Look at Richie Batts donates to the show. Thank you for the donation. He says, I went 10-1-1 off the TV live stream yesterday. So if you're looking for Sunday, TV's doing a show by himself on his own channel on Sundays. Obviously, it helped Richie Batts yesterday. I'm assuming it helped anyone else that tuned in. So shout out to you, and talk to us about Reds Guardians.
93 minutes I talked to myself, and apparently people were listening.
They normally call that crazy. If you're crazy,
It's also
talk
very
about
tough.
93
It's tough
minutes.
to do.
Exactly.
It's
Talking
tough
to yourself for 90 minutes or doing the same thing for 90 minutes with the same result. But anyways, hey, if 10-1 is the same result over and over, call me crazy all you want. So,
That's right.
yeah, we had fun yesterday. So Brian and I have won both of our last 2 5% plays on the exact same game with different bets. We won the other day with Washington, and we both won yesterday with Pittsburgh. So how are we approaching this? Well, listening to Brian's breakdown, I feel almost exactly the same way. I like, actually, I have the bats for both teams pretty negligible, almost pretty even. The Guardians have a huge bullpen advantage, though. But the Reds have a huge starting pitcher advantage. I got Chase Burns, although he's not exactly been tearing it up. He did give up a 5-burger the other day, or the other week. I gave up 3 the other day, so he's not exactly unhittable, but I do like him a lot better than Ciccone, our favorite Italian pitcher. Yeah, especially the expected numbers. I got Chase Burns ranked pretty high. Given the fact that the lineups are pretty negligible and the starting pitching, there's a huge discrepancy. I like the Reds in the first 5 here. I think I would take that probably because you cannot trust this Reds bullpen. You absolutely cannot. I think I made the the comparison yesterday. Unless you like handling nuclear waste with no gloves on, don't touch this bullpen. I think I was talking about Washington when I said that, but this bullpen's almost as bad as Washington. So I would avoid the end of the game and just bet on Chase Burns to tame these bats for the first 5 innings. I think would be the smart play.
I showed back up in a hat today because someone on Saturday was like, Trig, you got to go back to the hat till you get a haircut. He goes, your hair looks like shit. You got to go back to a hat. So I said, all right, minor league hats are back. Yeah, that's it. Listen, like I said, a good, bad, or indifferent. I want to hear the comments. So we went Albuquerque isotope today. I'm going to go tinfoil hat right now, though, because I got a wild take on this game. And I actually feel pretty strongly about it. I don't know if I'll make my card. I think Chase Burns might get lit up right here. And I'm going to explain why. I've watched his last 2 starts. I specifically watched very closely that start against the Mariners because I backed the Reds and I backed Chase Burns in that game. He has no clue where the ball is going right now. Okay. And so let me explain to you what has happened with him at least this month. So he went to the All-Star game. Can't remember if he pitched or not, but he was in the mix there. He pitched on July 8th in Philadelphia. He walked 6 batters. So clearly command was an issue in that game because he had 6 walks. Now you're going to look at his start against the Mariners and say, 5 shutout innings, no problem, right? Like 5 scoreless, 3 hits, 6 strikeouts, 2 walks. But that was the Mariners just swung at everything. I can't, the Mariners bailed him out. And this is someone that was on the Reds watching the game. Like, man, thank you, right? Like, thanks for swinging at that. Thanks for not challenging that borderline pitch that was probably a ball. Like the Mariners just bailed him out the whole game. And you could tell he was noticeably like didn't have the feel of where his fastball was going. And why is that such a big problem? He only throws 2 pitches. This is a guy that only throws 2 pitches, right?
That's all he has.
You don't have many elite starters in Major League Baseball right now that are true 2-pitch guys. Chase Burns is a true 2-pitch pitcher. It's 4-seamer, it's slider, and he can do it because his pitches are really good. 98 with movement. The slider is really tough to hit, but like if suddenly you don't know where that pitch is going, that's a problem. And the Guardians are scrappy enough where I think they make him pay for that in some fashion here, whether it's being patient, whether it's, kind of being able to slap that fastball and play, or maybe to go to Tokyo Brandon's point, whether it's just working counts enough to get him out after the 5th inning. Because like what Brian was saying, you can get him out after 5. The Guardians are going to have a huge advantage in the final few innings here with the much better bullpen. So I don't know how to do it. I don't know if I take the Guardians money line. I was hoping the Reds and Burns would take money. If that +1.5 came into range, that's certainly a play for me. But I would go to the underdog here because I have not liked what I've seen from Burns his last couple starts. Go ahead, Brian.
I think Cleveland I think they're like +140 or something, Adam. So you probably have good value there, if that's how you think.
Slick Vic, I want to just say this and then kick it to Brian. I'm telling you, again, I'm acknowledging, yes, he had 0 earned runs against the Mariners. I'm saying like his command looks off, and the Guardians are a team that can make him pay. That's what I'm saying. Go ahead, Brian.
And he gave up 8 earned before that starts. So.
Yeah, these teams met 3 times earlier in Cleveland, and Cleveland scored 23 total runs in those 3 games. I will say, Tokyo was talking about playing the first half. You're laying 30 cents more by having to play Burns in the first 5 as opposed to the whole game. So, and that's a little bit too high. But Burns is the better pitcher, no doubt about it.
It's expensive, especially for a team that's actually not very good. The Reds are not exactly a great team, so
right. Well, that's the point we'll end on is that like Burns. I mean, when he's on, he's elite. But if you take him out of the equation right here, who's the better of these 2 teams? Like the Guardians are probably the better overall team. So do you really want to pay for Burns right now if he's maybe not going to give you more than 5 innings? Because if he throws the ball like he did against the Mariners or the start before against the Phillies, this dude's not going to go past 5 innings in this game. I'll tell you that right now.
Good point.
All right, let's go here. Alex Rand, he says, back at it with the best baseball betting show in the world. High praise. We'll take that all day. Can we talk about my Nats being favorites today? Yeah, we can definitely talk about that because So on Saturday, the Blue Jays helped me break out of my little slump. I had not the best week out of the All-Star break. The Blue Jays were my best bet for Saturday. Dylan Cease on the mound, thought it was a very fair price. And, I kind of commented in my write-up, Brian. I said, maybe this is the game. I love the Jays to win that game. And I said, this might be the spot where they can finally get going. They've got a winnable series with the Nats coming up. I think after that, it's going to be the Cardinals. Then they're back at home for a couple. So if there was ever a time for the Blue Jays to start stringing wins together, it would be this part of the schedule. That being said, they come out again yesterday, give the win back from Saturday, and now they have to go on the road to the Nationals. Max Scherzer, I will comment on, did look really good in his most recent rehab start. I think he's going to be fine for what he is at this age. So it's an interesting handicap. Blue Jays, Nats, how are you seeing this one?
Yeah, Blue Jays bullpen comes in at very good. Varland and Rogers have not pitched the last 3 days. Hoffman the last 2 days. Yeah, I have my concerns about Scherzer. That's my only concern in this game. Alvarez going for Washington. Right now, I think Alvarez is a better pitcher. And the only problem is Washington, for some reason, at home, they don't play well. First game home in their series. For some reason, they've struggled in their first game coming back home. So we're looking at Alvarez and Washington in about the 130 range with a total of 9.5 to the over, 10 to the under. But I'm in agreement. I kind of want to play Toronto in this game. Don't know if I'll be able to get there. But that's the side I'm looking to play. Washington's a team that has been very good to us, all three of us, all season long. And they've been very good offensively. But Clayton Beaters had to pitch the last 2 days. And he's, I hate to say it about the bullpen, but he's probably a good step better than everybody else. They've got him rated over at Fangraphs as the 73rd best pitcher. And then after that, everybody else is Rebalta's 120. Everybody else is in 200, 300, 400, and 500. So, yeah, the bullpen is pretty bad over there. So, Washington's been very good to us this year, and I made a lot of money fading Toronto. But if I play this, I'm probably going to end up on Toronto somehow.
Yeah, Tokyo Brandon, what about you? Nats, Blue Jays?
Yeah, so this tells me that Max Scherzer no longer gets any respect from the book. And when you're 1-4 with a 10+ ERA, that's kind of how things go, even though your name is Max Scherzer. It's falling from grace a little bit, but like you said, he looked good in his minor league starts. So that's probably, even though he's up there in age, it's probably good enough. He's probably got enough gas to get one decent start out of him. The problem is the Blue Jays are one of the worst hitting teams in MLB right now. Vladdy still doesn't have a home run in his home stadium. Their bullpen's not that bad, though. I got their bullpen ranked a little higher than average, where I got Washington's just close to dead last. So bullpen-wise, you can't really bet Washington full game this season until they show. I mean, when that bullpen makes an appearance, it's like auto runs. I mean, it's just automatic, right? So I think Washington first 5. I agree with Brian. Alvarez is probably the better pitcher here, but kind of Max Scherzer's kind of an X factor here because he's looked so bad this season. But like you said, he made a good start. So will he show up or not? Washington is clubbing the ball really good right now. I would be tempted to take a Washington team total. I would also be tempted to take Washington in the first 5. I don't think I'll get there though, but that's what I would be tempted to bet if I had to bet this game.
I don't really think Andrew Alvarez is a better pitcher than Max Scherzer right now. Even right now, I know he's shown some flashes, but I don't know. I think I'd still rather have just a one-off day. Like I'd still rather have Scherzer. Like I said, how much can you take from his most recent start in AAA? Well, if you're one of my clients and you get my AAA pack and you get my AAA pays as part of your all access service, you would have bet on Max Scherzer last time out. He started in Buffalo. For whatever reason, they were an underdog in that game. Rochester, I will say this, didn't have their tip-top lineup out for that game, but he went 5 no-hit innings with 7 strikeouts and no walks. I thought he looked really good. And there's still some good players on that team. So again, my gut says that he probably pitches good enough here. Now, one thing I'll comment on, of course, the Nats traded Curtis Mead over the weekend. But I don't think that really matters because it opens up a spot for Brady House to play. And I think Brady House is a guy that probably should be playing in the big leagues right now. They probably want at the big league level. I don't think there's a huge drop off Mead to House. I mean, if Curtis Mead ends up being Babe Ruth for the rest of the year, maybe there is. But I don't know that would have continued anyway. So I like the Jays as a dog. I think there's value at like plus 115, plus 120. But I also, as Brian alluded to at the start of this breakdown, I love this Nationals team. They've been good to me this year. They've been better than anyone's expected, and they can hit, and it makes them a very tough team to bet against because they hit, but like Tokyo Brandon said, what happens in the last few innings, right? Who's getting those last 9 outs? It's always going to be an issue for this team, and it makes them a very tough team to bet on. So you know what? I will throw out a play here. It's not going to be my parlay leg, but the over kind of makes some sense. It's high, but I do think the Jays start to get some offense going. Springer had a big hit in that game against the Red Sox. This team has to hit at some point. They simply have to. And maybe some of that offense comes here. This seems like a favorable offensive setup for the Jays. And if you think Scherzer's going to give some runs up, it's probably going to go over. All right, let's move it along. Let's go back to the chat. All right, let's see. Someone says, Trig, don't take Cleveland. Well, I don't know if I'm going to yet or not, but I certainly the only way I play in that game. All right, let me get one from. All right, Tokyo Brandon, I'm coming to you because, well, you guys both cashed in this game yesterday, but you had the Pirates. They held on. They gave you a little scare for your 5%er, but in the end, they held on. And we're going to go to Kamani Mitchell says, what about Pitt, Arizona? He likes the he likes the underdog, which is Arizona. Someone else in the chat said, who's the better pitcher, Mitch Keller or Merrill Kelly? That's a mouthful right there. Mitch Keller, Merrill Kelly. I say neither, but what about you? Pirates, Diamondbacks, are you going back to the well with the Bucks here?
Yeah, guys, good time to take a double play. Adam's got a 5% out. Brian and I are both running really hot. So take 2 of your favorite cappers here for a double play. 3 days, all access, any 5% play that we put out. So take 2 of us. You can't go wrong. You really can't. So, yeah, it's not who's the better pitcher. It's like who's the least worst pitcher. And I would say right now it's Keller. If I had to bank my house on one of these pitchers, I would bank it on Keller over Kelly because now Kelly's just looking really bad. And both lineups hitting quite well, but the Diamondbacks are absolutely smoking it right now. Got them ranked number 2 in MLB in current form, where I got the Pirates ranked 12. So both teams are hitting quite well. Arizona's bullpen was ranked very high, but they've dropped a little bit. I got both bullpens kind of mediocre, but Pittsburgh has a slight advantage in bullpen, and I give Pittsburgh a slight advantage in starting pitcher. I think an over would be a way to go here. Both teams probably going to smash pretty good here. Neither starter is very good. Neither bullpen is like complete lockdown, although Pittsburgh's bullpen is performing fairly well, but neither bullpen is really lockdown status. And both lineups are better than mediocre, especially the Diamondbacks. They're crushing right now. So I think an over would be a good play here. I haven't looked at the number. If it's 10, might be a little hesitant, but if you get 9 or anything less than 9, I think an over would be a decent play here.
Brian, I want to take the Pirates so bad in this game because they crush right-handed pitching, and the lineup has only gotten more right, like their numbers. So the Pirates have been near the top of the league all year in hitting, but if you look at their splits and you just break it out against right-handed pitching, they're pretty much number 1. Or they're like 1 or 2 in like every category, which should only end up getting better for them in that regard because you take Connor Griffin out of the lineup and then you put in a Jacob Gonzalez, who's probably going to be better against right-handed pitching, being a left-handed hitter. So I kind of think I'm with Tokyo Brandon. Like, I don't see how the Pirates don't hang a number on Merrill Kelly and the Diamondbacks. I just don't have much faith in Mitch Keller or the D-backs not doing the same thing. Is this as easy? Are we going to see another 8-7 game like we saw for the Pirates yesterday?
Yeah, that over was good to us in our 5% play yesterday. We've got Pittsburgh with Keller about a 120 favorite. Total of 9 to the over, 9.5 to the under here against Kelly. In regards to who is the better pitcher, I am not an expert, so I let the experts tell me. And over at Fangraphs, they've got Kelly ranked 187th, and they've got Keller ranked about 80 or so. So they think Keller's the better pitcher. And I agree. Kelly's, as much as I appreciate what he's done over his years, he's an old guy. And sometimes when you get old, it's time to hang it up. Thank God I've been winning so I can continue to handicap. But it's a game where I think the over makes a lot of sense here, especially if you get that 9 over the 115, 120. And that's the way I'm going to take a look at this. And this is going to be my part of the parlay today. I'm going to play this game over 9. And we'll lay the 120. Arizona's been hitting very well lately. If you take a look at their last 7 days, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys hitting in the top 100, and they also have top 100, and everybody else is hitting in the top 200. So they come into this game hitting very well. From a bullpen standpoint, they're in decent shape here, but I'm not that excited about their bullpen. But Pittsburgh, on the other hand, is a team that's by the way, both these teams need these games. So they're not going to sit back and, if you get a lead, sit back and relax. That's a good thing because both these teams are fighting for the same wild card situation. So they're going to continue to pile on the runs, which also helps our over. From the Pittsburgh standpoint, their bats aren't quite as hot. Gonzalez is hitting very well. He's the top 100, but overall, this is a good hitting team. And from the bullpen standpoint, other than Mason Montgomery, who had to throw 25 pitches last night to get the save, he will not be available. But and Mlazinski threw 33. But other than that, they're all in pretty good shape. So, yeah, I like the over here. I think we're going to see another high-scoring game. And, especially going against Kelly. Let me just take a quick look at the Pittsburgh team total. It's sitting there at 4.5, basically minus 110. I think I'm not going to say a given, but it's a very good chance they're going to score 5 runs in here. So if you don't want to play the over 9, which is an odd number, meaning they have to get to an even number, we get Pittsburgh to score 5 runs here, and they get there. So either Pittsburgh over or the game over is a pretty good bet. And I'm just going to go with the game over 9 if you can get the 120 here. And there's plenty of those out there right now.
Yeah, I sort of can't believe that you can get an over 9 in this game. My numbers project 9.6. I'm shocked that it's not 9.5 everywhere. If you can get over 9 right now, that's a very good bet. This has like Mark Lambert brings up a good point. He says Kelly's expected numbers, that 725 and that batting average of 305, those are like the worst expected numbers of any starting pitcher or any pitcher at all with like in Major League Baseball this year. Keller's are not much better. That's the hard part I'm having, and that's why I really don't think I can play the Pirates here, is that Keller in those same categories expected is like mid-5, expected batting average 286, and the only saving grace for Keller, and this is something Brian has brought up at times, it's like he doesn't give up as much hard hit, so those numbers might not be as, like, I don't know if you can hang your hat on those as much, whereas like Merrill Kelly is giving like top 10% hard hit rate up as well. So it's like, you look at both of these pitchers and you look at both of these lineups, how is there going to be 9 innings in this game where there aren't runs? And then you throw in the bullpens and TB, like I think the Pirates bullpens are their biggest weakness by far. And they almost blew the game for them yesterday. And a lot of those guys might be called on again here in a close game. Yeah, this over makes all the sense in the world, Brian. I think
I was watching, believe me.
Yeah, and I use Ballpark Pal and others. One of these days, these companies are going to have to comp me on what I have to pay for because I'm always promoting them. But they've got basically 6.5 runs being scored here in the first 5 innings with the 2 starters, and then you get the bullpens for 4 innings, and you only need 2.5 runs at that point. So yeah, this one, I can't see playing the under in it. If you're either playing the over or you're sitting it out.
This is what they call a Katie bar the door game.
Yeah. I mean, listen, could you get every single laser beam hit at someone and somehow the game goes under? Of course, it always can happen. But yeah, I would say 7 or 8 times out of 10, these 2 teams play under these exact scenarios. You're probably going to see 9 runs or more, or double-digit runs for sure. Yeah. Tokyo Brandon, Kyle Hintland wants to know where he can find that pack with Trig and TB. Why don't you remind the folks where he can get that?
Yeah, just go to WagerTalk.com and pull up your favorite cappers page. Brian's part of the doubleheader, the double play as well. So I strongly recommend getting Adam and either Brian or myself. Go to WagerTalk.com and find the double play deal under any of our pages. That's how you do it.
This is a really good point. And
I guess I look like a used car salesman, or I look like I sell women or something. Maybe I don't know.
Listen, you no one delivers a promo like UTB. They don't. They're like Trig talks way too much as it is. So I'm certainly not going to promo this. I gotta save my words for trying to host the show. I'm going to go to this
man, and I'm the salesman.
All right, so Chris Cruz 5595 makes a good point, and I'll pinpoint it to a couple of different teams. He said syndicates are betting dogs like crazy since the break. Yeah, and you know what else they do? They bet like the Mets every single day, and they bet the Royals every single day. Now, they got paid on the Royals a little bit this past weekend, but the game I want to focus on here is Braves-Mets, Brian. These groups must – I'd like to know how much money these syndicate groups have lost specifically on betting the Mets this year. Mm-hmm. It has been going on for months. Anytime the Mets are an underdog, they take professional money. And every time they lose, I mean, it's like the win-loss on that has to be so bad. And guess what? They're a slight underdog again today. I'm sure that Mets money is going to come at some point today. Problem is today I agree with it a little bit. I don't mind him in this matchup, but Brian, speak on that and then talk about Braves-Mets to me.
Yeah, it's interesting. He's right. The money has been coming in on the dogs, but I'm a dog player, and I've been having a hard time finding dogs since the All-Star break. There's no problem in playing underdogs if you get the value, and I just don't think the value's been there. And we all know, the success we've had. Knock on wood. Let's keep it going. We've got Perez and Thornton going today, a couple of lefties, and Perez is about a 115 road favorite here with a total of 8.5. Perez is a guy we've made some pretty good money on so far this year, and Thornton's, he's looked pretty good for them so far. If I'm taking a look here at the Braves from a hitting standpoint, Braves are hitting pretty well, especially at the top of the order. Baldwin has really bounced back. He had that one slump just like a month ago. And other than that, he's been terrific all season long. They're getting good bats from everybody else. They were talking about bringing back Acuna over the weekend. They pushed it back a little bit so he could come in any single day here and add to that situation. But we've got Martin Perez on the season. He's ranked at 126th. Last 14 days, 34. He's been pitching very well. The problem with Atlanta is they have had to use their bullpen a lot lately. Iglesias pitched last night. He blew the save. That was his 3rd game in 5 days. Lee's pitched 3 times in the last 5 days. So the bullpen for Atlanta is concerning. Fuentes, they had to use him longer than he normally goes. The last 2 times out, he had to throw 37 pitches on Wednesday, 32 on Saturday, because their bullpen has been used so much. And he paid for it. He blew the save on Wednesday and took the loss on Saturday. So he's a very good pitcher. I like him overall. But they've been using their bullpen a lot, which tells me that some runs could be scored in this one. As I said, we're looking at total of 8.5 here. The Mets obviously have lost their best all-around hitter. He will not be playing. Soto's going to be out for quite some time. The Mets offense is something that is consistent middle of the road right now with the guys I have in there. I don't have a single guy hitting in the top 100 for the last week. So, but the bullpen looks better, although yesterday they had to use their top 3 arms. The bullpen edge for the Mets is huge in this one. But the bats from Atlanta, I trust a little bit more. So, unfortunately, I'm probably not going to have a play on this one. A couple lefties going, by the way.
Acuna will be back tonight. They mentioned it a number of times over the weekend. If you watch any of the Gwinnett, Iowa series, they talked about it. I believe they actually, yeah, right. I believe they officially activated him already now. So I think that's like a done deal that he's going to be back. Big Daddy Cornfed says around 33 units lost betting the Mets this season is my guess for the syndicates. I think that's a good guess. Honestly, that's probably a good guess because you got to also think about it. Yeah, that is a great game, a great name for sure. You got to think about it. It's not like they're betting them every game. It's a lot of times when they feel like there's value, and anytime the Mets are like have been close to pick or underdog, they just lose. Like I mean, what is it? Where are we at right? Are they 20 games under 500 yet? They're probably close. They're probably 19 or 20 games under. Yeah, it's
18 right now, and outscored by 62 runs on the season.
Yeah, I mean that's what happens. Listen, that's going to happen when you have a team projected coming into the season where they were be as bad as they are. Like so far off of like projections. That's also where some of these groups are going to determine value, right? They're going to say, okay, like this team is way underperformed. We're going to try to catch the uptick. And it just really has never come for this Mets team. I thought I would want to find a spot to bet on Thornton. And so I caught Adam Ottavino, former relief pitcher, has been on TikTok on a daily basis. Every morning he's on TikTok and it's like coffee and he's got a little TikTok thing where he just sits there and breaks down pitchers from like the night before with like video and goes through pitch by pitch. I think he missed this spot. I think it's pretty cool. I mean, I love that stuff. I know Brian's big into stuff like that. You get to watch a pro like that, just sit there and sort of informally break stuff like that down. Mm-hmm. That's super interesting. He broke down Thornton's last start and he didn't have the best feedback for him. And that's notable because I think his last start, he was like 6 scoreless, so it was pretty mm-hmm. good. Yeah. And he was just like, yeah, I don't really trust his stuff. Like, I don't know that's, so that to me was interesting to hear because I think that's a different opinion than what most people would have. They probably saw Zach Thornton last time out against the Brewers go 6 scoreless innings, give up 3 hits. But what Ottavino was saying, he was missing spots, giving up contact. You look at the box score, he only had 2 strikeouts. So, man, the Braves, you get Acuna back. The Braves could make a guy like that pay. And now you're getting your best hitter back. This is a tough one. I kind of keep flip-flopping here, so I'm probably out on this one. But, yeah. TB, anything else to add to this one before we move on?
Yeah, universally, when guys return their first game, the hitters are usually flat. The pitchers are usually pretty on, though. I don't know why. Maybe you guys would know why, but usually the hitters are pretty cold and the pitchers are kind of on when they come back. So just generally speaking, everybody's different, of course. I'm just saying in general. You know why, Brian?
I know the hitters that are that way. That's why I was surprised that Jose Ramirez had 2 hits that first game back. He hadn't done anything since.
Yeah.
But I will point out when you're talking about the syndicates, a lot of them use models. So they've got a lot of smart guys that are developing these models. The models aren't going to say what's happening in the locker room. We know all season long that the Mets locker room has not been positive. You've got a team that's expecting to go to the playoffs and contend for the World Series. They got a lot of veterans on that team. As the season's going on, they've faded out the veterans, brought in the young players. So that doesn't you can't dignify that in a model. So that's why the models. You've got to also have somebody who watches every baseball game to approve that. I think if I ran a syndicate.
Let me make one more point about this game if I can. The Braves are obviously the better team, and the Mets don't have Soto. I have no idea how the Mets beat the Dodgers, but that's baseball. The best teams in the league are going to lose 40% of the games. It's not like the NFL where the best teams are only going to lose 2 games. So that's baseball. Anyone can win on any day, but what we have to do is predict probability. and compare probability to the price. Atlanta's the better team here. I don't know what's going on with Martin Perez. Ever since he was with the Pirates, every time he makes a start, inside my head, this little voice goes, "Oh no, Martin," because he's so bad. But this season, he's actually pitching really well. He's got a 1.2 WHIP, which is respectable, and his ERA is under 4, which is also respectable. I don't know what's going on. Maybe check him for substance or something, because something's weird going on with that guy. He's pitching way better than he normally does. Thornton, I got him ranked higher, but the Braves hitting is just much better. And without Soto, these Mets, I mean, you made a good point yesterday, Adam. Nobody on this Mets team has an OPS over 700, is it? Besides Soto.
Yeah,
and now
once you get Soto out of that lineup, yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't see how you could bet the Mets. Brian does make a good point, though. The Mets bullpen, slight advantage. But will the bullpen matter if they're losing 7-0? That's kind of the point. But then again, they scored 7 on the Dodgers yesterday. So
real quick, George Barnes. I will, because I didn't really give out an angle. I'll give you one. He says, I was wondering if Thornton will go over 17.5 outs. He's been going deep into games. I would go under. Based on like watching Ottavino break down his last start, he went 6. He was basically the consensus, or his evaluation of that was he was very fortunate. He got away with some pitches that probably could have been hit out of the ballpark, a couple fly balls that were caught at the wall. I will say Thornton goes under. And if the Mets, if they can lean on their bullpen, it's all maybe they won't let him go that third time through against a quality offense like the Braves. So I'll say Thornton under outs. That's going to be the pick I give out for this game. Not the parlay pick, but that is my pick for you. Tokyo Brandon, I'm going to come to you, though. We need your parlay leg if you've got it.
Yeah, I'm going to pick a game that might surprise some people. Actually, the game probably won't surprise you, but the team that I'm going to pick might surprise you. I'm going to take the Angels over the Astros today. And the reason I'm going to is I really like Urania, actually. I know Imai has been very up and down, and he's actually shown some flashes of brilliance, but he's very inconsistent. He's kind of a head case, to be honest. He's always been that way, even with Seibu Lions here. But I really like Urania, and I really like this Angels bullpen. And the only advantage the Astros have here, as far as I'm concerned, is the hitting. And the Astros are not exactly tearing the cover off the ball. They're hitting very mediocre, while the Angels are hitting slightly under mediocre. And yeah, they don't have Neto, but I still think that the Astros run production will be suppressed highly by this elite bullpen. I can't believe I'm saying the Angels have an elite bullpen, but they do. And I really like Urania. So I'm going to take the Angels on the money line for my parlay leg, and probably going to surprise people because nobody in their right mind thinks the Angels are better than the Astros, but this is a cover the logo game. Yeah, I mean, the Astros have 10 more wins, but they're not looking good. So give me the Angels today.
Yeah, I'll go to Brian here. I struggled with this one because I feel like I can make a pretty good case for both sides. But at the same time, TB, I'm not going to agree with you. You know, I've liked Urena all year. And I do think the Angels maybe are playing better than their record a little bit right now. So I can't really argue with that. Brian, anything Astros, Angels to you?
Yeah, the Astros are about a 115 favorite here. So the payback is about minus 103 on the Angels, something like in that range, with a total of 8.5 to the under, minus 115. I will point out the Astros have owned the Angels. They've got a tremendous record against the Angels over the years. They've obviously been the better team for quite some time, and they've taken advantage of that. But Amai's been so inconsistent, it's tough to put money on him. Urena is a guy I like a little bit better, but with the dominance that Houston's had against them, I quickly moved off of this game for myself.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, when Amai has been on this year, he's looked like almost unhittable at times. I mean, but then again, you could say the same thing about Urena too. Yeah. When he's been on, he's looked tremendous too. So yeah, that's, last time out for Amai, 6 innings, 1-run ball, 4 hits against the Marlins. But the time before that, couldn't get out of the 4th inning. Struggled a little bit with command, and they took him out early there. And the time before that, he got crushed. Couldn't get out of the 2nd inning. Got lit up by the Twins. So, yeah, he's been super inconsistent. When it's good, it's really good. When it's bad, it's bad. My only problem with backing the Angels is I'm worried that this lineup rates out to me near the bottom of the league, and I feel like they get dominated by like really good pitching. I made this mistake maybe like 10 days ago. Tried to grab a +1.5 against Scooble, and the Angels couldn't even put the ball in play. Now, I'm not saying Amai is Tariq Scooble by any means, but when he's on, when Amai's on, it's 6 innings, 1 hit or 1 run, 3-4 hits, 9 strikeouts. I guess like my only concern is I run into that. So as I talk it out, I think I'm gravitating toward the under because TV, I think the reason you like the Angels here is Arena, and he's a guy that I've liked all season as well. So I think I lean toward the under just a slight bit.
Let me make a quick point. If that's the case, then maybe an under would be a decent case because neither one of these lineups are actually very good, and both pitchers have potential to have a breakout game today. I'll make one quick point about Imai. When he was in Japan, he had one good season, and Major League Baseball swooped him up after his one good season. The 4 or 5 seasons before that, he was very inconsistent, just like he is right now. So I was surprised he went to MLB, to be honest. So that's my take on Imai. Very inconsistent.
I get. Go ahead, Brian. Go ahead.
My only concern with playing the under is, other than the Houston closer, nobody else I trust. And the Angels, I do like their bullpen, but yesterday they used a lot of guys for a good amount of pitches, and really Bachman only pitched 18 pitches yesterday, hadn't pitched the rest of the week, but the rest of the guys have pitched like three games in 2 days or 2 games in 3 days. That's a little bit of a concern there.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the reason Amai is that 90% whiff rate, like top 10 percentile whiff rate. He gets a lot of swing and miss. Like any big league club is going to look at his stuff and be like, oh, we can turn him into an ace. Like he's just his stuff when it's on is so good. That is the definite appeal there. But TB, I can't argue with the thought process of maybe liking the Angels at home. And Brian, you were talking about the Angels bullpen. It's not going to matter today, but I would guess that within the week, Ben Joyce is back in the majors. He had 2 rehab outings at Salt Lake over the last few days. Didn't give up a hit, and was throwing 103 miles an hour. So that's
he'll be up for a week till he gets hurt again. That's been his problem his entire career. Yeah.
So he will likely be back in this Angels bullpen in the next few days, which it didn't look like any big leaguer was hitting the pitches he was throwing down in Salt Lake the last couple times out. So,
all right, Trig, what's your parlay part here?
Well, I'm trying to decide if we've already talked about it, which I could use one that we already talked about, or if we were going to do a different game. So I'm just scanning the chat real quick. I'm going to scan my extensive notes here. This is the thing. So I do have a 5% play today. It's possible one of these other games is gonna make it, just because I have a lot of opinions today. All right, we'll go with one we haven't talked about. I'll give you another opinion. I think I don't really care for the Tigers. I know, Brian, I'll let you kind of kick this one off. I know you had talked about a couple months ago, like buying the Tigers, but this was, of course, when they were much, perceived to be much worse than they are right now. For me, like this team keeps popping up as a favorite in spots that I don't think they should be favored in. Happened a couple times over that. I'm kicking myself. There's another one yesterday. I felt like Royals could have grabbed a +1.5. It was a little bit juiced to my liking yesterday. Turned out you didn't need it. But I'm looking at Kyle Bradish here, and you could get him as an underdog. I felt like the Orioles played good enough to win every game this weekend. It's just when you're playing a very quality team like the Braves, you have to play a complete 9 innings, and the Orioles didn't do that, and they ended up losing a couple of close games that they absolutely could have won. Same thing against the Red Sox. You go back to that series, Orioles-Red Sox. 2 of those losses were by 1 run. Actually, the Orioles this month So they had that big winning streak going into the break and out of the break. I believe they won 7 in a row. Their only 4 losses since the 7-game win streak have all come by 1 run, probably games that they could have won in all of them. So I think this team is playing good ball. I talked about it on the show. I love Christian Encarnacion Strand. I think he's a great addition to this offense. I'm still very much in on the Orioles, and I'm still very much in on Kyle Bradish. I think he's the superior starter here. I like what Keider has done. I think he's a nice Swiss Army knife for this Tigers team. But I just look at these two teams. I think the Orioles have more upside. I prefer the starting pitcher here. I guess you could argue that the Tigers have a more rested and better bullpen in this game, but you're giving me the Orioles at plus money. So I lean Orioles, and the Orioles is going to be my parlay leg. Agree or disagree?
I'll be very brief on this one. We're getting late in the show, and I don't have much to add here. Montero's about a 115 favorite, total of 8.5 to the under. You can get the underdog back at plus 100. I'd say it'd probably be the majority out there right now. While I pass on this game, I do want to say there is one day game today, and I will have a pretty substantial play on that. I'll be putting that up within the next hour. And we've been very good on our 4s and 5s. As I said, 80% our last 20 on those. So this may be a 4. It's not going to be a 5. I may have a 3 or a 4 on that afternoon game that starts in about 5 hours or so.
Tokyo Brandon, Orioles Tigers to you. Kyle Bradish has looked really good ever since that slow start. Curious to see where he rates out on your pitcher list today, and if you like him here.
Yeah, this is one of those games where, when I do capping, I'll be brief. But when I do capping, what I do is I look over the games and I get a feel, and then I look at my numbers and see if my feel matches my numbers. And if it does, then I'm all in kind of thing. But this is where my feel and my numbers were bipolar, were total polar opposites, right? And this is the tightest matchup of all today, according to my numbers. My first impression looking at this is Orioles all the way. I mean, the Orioles got much more potential. Orioles are surging. And then I looked at my numbers, man. Montero's pitching really well. He's not walking anyone. So I generally don't like him, but my numbers are slapping me in the face saying, why don't you like him? So kind of, yeah. And Bradish is pitching almost equally as well as Montero. So neither lineup's really smoking right now. I got them both slightly under mediocre, and I got both bullpens dead even at 12. So I guess an under would be how I go. Usually when I have two teams this closely ranked and two pitchers that are just pitching really well right now, Bradish has a little bit of a walk problem, and Montero does not. But yeah, under would be the way I would go if I were to bet this game. But I my heart likes the Orioles, actually. My numbers don't.
I can't disagree with you there. Under makes sense if you were going to get involved with a total here. I also, Brian, am I seeing that there's some wind blowing in at Comerica Park tonight? Because that would help.
Our wind man.
Yeah, let me get a quick look here.
The wind man.
It's going all over the place. They're expecting a normal game. There really isn't much going on today. Obviously, the wind's blowing out in Sutter Health Park, but it seems to do that a lot. Other than that, the weather's pretty even across the country.
The final thing I'll say about this is obviously going to support the Orioles handicap here. Kyle Bradish, I think, has the upside of an ace or a really good number 2. That's why they paid him, right? That's why the Orioles are going to lock him up, keep him in town. I think when healthy, his ceiling is being the ace of this staff. Keider Montero, I don't mind him, and like you said, TB, he's had a tremendous season. Can't take what he's done away from him to this point. But this guy has a 0.96 whip coming into play today and gives up way too much contact for me to believe that his whip is going to be 0.96 much longer. Like, that's just the thing. I mean, he's executing his pitches. He pitches deep into game. Like, he's doing everything that the Tigers are asking of him, and he's doing it well. But when you have a 7% whiff rate, okay, that's bottom 7%. So you're in the bottom 7% whiff rate of any pitcher in Major League Baseball, and you're in the bottom 20% in strikeout rate. It's not that he gives up crazy hard contact, but it's there. And he's all over the strike zone. Like, this Orioles lineup should do damage against someone like that, because that's kind of how this team is. Like, Kobe Mayo will hit a $197, but if you give him one in his kitchen, he's going to hit it 480. Like, and they've got a couple of guys like that. The Orioles have a hard time stringing hits together. They don't have a hard time getting like the big hit to clear the bases or the home run. I think they're going to burn Montero with a couple long balls tonight, or a couple of big hits, timely hits, and I think it gets it done. So Orioles is going to be my parlay leg. That closes out the parlay. I do have a 5%er up on my page right now. You can pair that with one of the two guys you see here. Play I love tonight. I'll probably have more. I for a Monday with 12 games, I have a ton of opinions. I'm like more than I usually do. So I'm going to get off the show and try to make some sense of those. And then the other two guys you see on the screen, both red hot, both coming off 5% wins. Brian just told you that he's likely going to have a play in the day game. So grab that from him. That is a 2 p.m. game that we didn't talk about. Mariners-Rangers goes this afternoon. And Tokyo Brandon's always got plays up on his page. The parlay is going to be as follows. Tokyo Brandon's going with Angels minus 103. I'm going to go with Orioles plus 100, Brian, for the Orioles.
Yep.
And then Brian's going to go with Diamondbacks Pirates over 9 minus 120. So Angels full game money line, Orioles full game money line, D-backs Pirates over 9 minus 120. That is your show today. And the three of us will be back tomorrow morning for another episode of Total Bases. Thanks for tuning in. Good luck today. We'll see you guys then.